Hello guys, and welcome to another exciting video. So there is an issue going on about travel nursing across the horizon, which is generating a lot of reaction among certain quarters. And I thought I should discuss this with you because this issue, I believe, is going to change the face of travel nursing in a lot of ways as we know it. And I chanced upon this article on the news website nurse.org. Now it says the House File 2391 would cap pay for these temporary healthcare workers at 150% of the average salary of a nurse in the state, contingent upon the healthcare entity they are employed by. I mean, I find this quite interesting already. Now guys, as expected, nurses are reacting, especially travel nurses, and this uproar isn't a surprise. Nearly 1/3 of new nurses dream of becoming a travel nurse and securing the bag, like they say. On a more serious note, why should this pay capping be such a huge concern? Because travel nursing isn't the primary job of nurses. It's something that a lot of nurses do, but I believe travel nurses have something to say. So let's watch this video.
Iowa just passed a bill capping travel nurse pay. And no one's talking about it. Like, they just snuck this one in there? Because I didn't hear about it. And it passed with like a huge margin with bipartisan support through the House. It still has to pass the Senate. But yeah, they're capping travel nurse pay, or they're trying to, at 150 times the average nurse's wage.
So actually it's 150%, not 150 times. I mean, that's outrageous. It's 150%, like we read in the article. So if a core staff of a hospital, the core registered nurse in the hospital, is earning $1,000 per paycheck, the travel nurse pay is essentially should not be more than $1,500 per paycheck, which is going to be effectively 150% of the core staff pay
for that location. They're saying that it's to prevent price gouging and that it's no longer needed. Like, they just don't need travelers anymore, essentially, is what they're implying. They said, you know, there was a need during COVID, but there's no need now. So you know what to do with that little bit of information, travel nurses, right? Here's the part that's going to piss you off, though. They have the audacity to claim that they're doing this because it's a morale issue for the healthcare workers that are stuck working alongside the travelers who are making 4 times as much money as they are, and that they had to take these steps to make things better, to have better morale in the workplace for the healthcare workers. Let's call a spade a spade. You did this for one reason and one reason only, and it is to increase profits for healthcare organizations and the C-suite, once again at the expense of nurses. Period. That's the only reason. Since when have you gave a flying about healthcare workers?
Nurses, travel nurses are not happy with this at all. Okay, let's continue to watch this, guys.
You could care less about the morale. Because God knows we've all been screaming from the mountaintops that the morale is non-existent. That's not why you're doing this. At least have the decency to admit why you're doing it, politicians, because you caved to the pressure of all of the healthcare organizations that have contributed to your campaigns, all of that. This is infuriating. Travel nurses, if I were you, I would not be setting foot in Iowa ever again, because, you know, they don't need you. They don't, apparently they're fully staffed and they don't need travelers.
Oops, that was a hot take. Why is this a concern? Now, I believe it was Confucius, I think, who said that he who wants to predict the future must first study and understand the past. Now, if that maxim is anything to go by, and I do agree it is to a large extent, then we can use the trend of nurse practitioners moving from practicing under the supervision of a medical doctor to the current state where majority of states in the US are allowing full practice autonomy, otherwise known as FPA, in which case nurse practitioners are allowed to assess patients, make diagnosis, prescribe treatments, request laboratory and x-ray investigations, and formulate a whole plan of treatments for patients without ever having to seek the consultation or supervision of a medical officer. And it started from one state and it has progressed to a majority of states. And I know that it is not the same as travel nurses, but it falls within the same ecosystem of nursing here in the US. Now, so let's look at what the data says of this whole trend. So if you can see this gives a pictorial representation of the data about nurse practitioners. Now, in the year 1994, there were just a small number of states which allowed full practice autonomy. That means that nurse practitioners were practicing without the supervision of a medical doctor. And do you know the number? Now, it will surprise you, so I'll show you. Okay, so in 94, it was just about 5 states. It was Montana, New Mexico, Iowa, Oregon, and I think Alaska was one of the last ones. Now, fast forward to 2000, that number increased from 4 states in 94 to 10 states by the year 2000. That is a twofold increase, 100% increase within the span of 6 years. Guys, stay with me. Now let's move forward to 20 years in the year 2020, and the number keeps growing. But you know the number? Now in the year 2020, it is 20 states from 94, where you had 4 states, to 10 and currently, and in the year 2020, it was 20 states which allow full practice autonomy. Now fast forward to last year, 2023, from 2020, you have a whopping 28 states allowing full practice autonomy out of the 50 states in the US. So what means is that within the period of 3 years, from 2020 to 2023, 8 states have been added. Now during the wake of the COVID pandemic, 8 states, okay, reduced their rule to allow for full practice autonomy. Now I know that some of you guys may say that this has nothing to do with travel nursing and I'm just exaggerating, but guys, this is a trend and you cannot really write it off and take it for granted. So now let's take a look at the decline in travel nurse pay over the past 4 years. Over the past 4 years, travel nurse pay has witnessed a massive decline. Now I'm going to take you from 2020, okay, 2020 all the way to currently 2024, and I'll show you what the trend has been. So from mid 2020, okay, during the wake of the COVID pandemic, do you know how much travel nurses were taking? They were taking as high as, some reports show that travel nurses were taking as high as $10,000. Okay, so this is what travel nurses were taking. $10,000. Guys, this is not my word, and I mean there's a lot of empirical data to support this fact. Now fast forward to the year 2024. So let's just say, so guys, from this rate of $10,000 in 2020, currently in 2024, I keep receiving notifications for travel nurse jobs which is offering to pay me a paltry $1,800 a week. Guys, $1,800, it's even less than $2,000. That's about we are talking about $1,800 for travel nurse pay in a week. Now what is accounting for this downward trend? I mean, this is job offers I'm receiving without even checking. I mean, how shocking. Now the facts also show that the spike in travel nurse pay was due to an increase in demand for travel nurses during the pandemic. Now that the pandemic is over, both the demand for travel nurses and their pay rates have both fallen like a stone. I mean, there is Aya Healthcare, which is one of the largest travel nursing agencies. Now Aya Healthcare says that the demand for travel nurses has fallen by a whopping 42% from January to July 2022 alone. And I mean, I bet it's a bigger percentage by now. And if you are watching this video, you should have subscribed by now. And thank you for doing just that. Now guys, to gain further perspective, I sat down with a travel nurse to understand what a typical travel nurse is thinking or understands or makes of this whole trend going on. And this is what he has to say.
I think this whole capping thing doesn't make no sense. I don't see the importance of what they are trying to do, because first of all, number one, it's going to have a very big negative impact on this whole issue. The negative impact that is going to have is a shortage of nurses, because a lot of nurses are not gonna want to travel to Iowa to work in the first place. And I mean, first of all, there is already nurses, nursing, shortage.
Yeah, of course, it's perennial.
So I mean, you doing this because first of all, going back, nurses started traveling because they want to earn, higher, higher pay. And they are running away from, getting paid lower, doing crazy job, all the hard jobs and all the hard works in a hospital, and still getting, paid, lower. Okay. So when travel nursing, became a big deal, I mean, people have been traveling for years, but when travel nursing became a big deal, and people saw, I mean, the opportunity to make higher income, to make higher money, that was when people quit their staff jobs, because jobs were paying lower.
Okay.
Yeah. So them bringing this, rule, this capping thing is going to destroy everything. It's going to make things worse, because people are even trying to build their own investment, things already. People are trying to even leave bedside.
Yeah.
Not to talk of like trying to cut, travel nurses pay. Yeah. Because when you look into this whole thing very deep, people, they think like travel nurses are making money, getting paid, but they don't realize that there's a lot of taxes that travel nurses also pay. Yeah,
I think it's one of the things that I feel like it's unfair to travel nurses. But of course, you can also blame travel nurses themselves. But
how do you blame travel nurses?
I mean, people are unfair to travel nurses in the amount of money travel nurses earn. Okay, I've seen clips of doctors who were saying travel nurses earn so much money. A lot of the news portals feature travel nurses talking about how much they earn, but they don't talk about the taxes they pay, like you're are talking about.
Right.
So I feel like this whole Iowa capping may be an offshoot of that whole impression that travel nurses are earning too much money.
I think they should be rather looking on the other side by rather paying, people to get more nurses staying to work in a hospital than wanting to bring the fight on travelers.
Yeah.
Because I don't think travel nurses are the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, the main issue and the main problem is, the hospitals, who are not trying to do what is right to keep their staff. Because if a hospital is paying their staff, pretty well, pretty good, I don't think no staff or no person will want to travel to a different place or a different state and go earn higher. Because if I'm staying over here and I'm making $70 an hour, $80 an hour, why would I even want to go somewhere, travel, stress myself, leave my house over here, move to a different place, look for a different apartment or a place to stay, pay rent over there, and pay rent back home?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
That's
so
true.
I think the solution to this whole thing is not cutting travel nurses' pay, but the solution is for them to do or to rather increase people's or staff pay in order to do what? To keep them. Because I heard they were trying to bring this travel staff traveler, program where as a staff, if you work with a hospital for like a year or two, you can become a traveler in that same hospital and it's almost the same amount as a traveler,
I see.
earning. There's some hospitals I know in Nebraska are doing that, but that's like with them, maybe in every 2 months or 1 month or 3 months, if you're able to pick like 8 extra shifts, they have like a certain amount of money they give you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's the travel staff. Yeah. So they need to bring out policy things that will make people rather want to stay than trying to take the fight onto travelers, because travelers are not the issue.
So do you think that Iowa starting is going to have a ripple effect on other states? We are going to see the same trend where other states are going to catch up and also start capping travel nurse pay?
Every state is different. These things has to go through so many channels, so many voting, and I don't know what maybe the union over there, for Iowa nurses. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's from the union or
no, it's not from the union.
State.
It's from the state board.
Yeah.
Not even the state board of nursing, just the state board. That's like
and one thing I don't blame it, because the Senate and the federal and the state, whatever, they've been against travelers since the beginning.
Okay.
Even it started like from the federal side, where they were saying travelers were making so much money and they feel like we shouldn't be making, even during COVID, they said we shouldn't be making the amount of money that we are making.
Okay.
Meanwhile, travelers are traveling, nurses are sacrificing themselves, showing themselves up, being at bedside, and even some nurses even lost their lives, trying to save other people. COVID. So what are you talking about? So I think it depends on every state. California is different. Washington state became a multi-state, state right now. So it depends, because it's the healthcare industry and it's a healthcare business, and it depends on the benefits that every hospital or every state is getting from.
Because I have that impression that like what happened to nurse practitioners, that almost every state is becoming autonomous now. I feel like it's going to catch up. I don't know about travel nursing, but I watch videos of other nurses on YouTube who are making such content and such complaints about it. And for most people who want to venture into travel nursing, because now when you speak to a lot of new grads, they want to work for a year and then get into travel. So for most of them, if travel nurse pay is capped, then there's no incentive to even get into the nursing in the first place or do that travel nursing.
I think I was having a conversation with you the other time that these hospitals think the best solution is them employing all these new grads and having them as residents and taking them through the program, the 1 year program, and at the end retaining them, like keeping them, but they don't know that these kids or these new grads who are coming, their main focus is to, hey man, I want to work in a hospital, get like a 1 year experience, or because that's the cap. Some travel agencies require like a year or two experience at bedside to be able to become a traveler. So they want to get that experience by working in a hospital. So after that, the hospital think they are keeping this person, but this person came in with this intention that at the end of the 1 year, now they want to travel because they feel like they want to make more money. And it's not always about the money that they are going to make. Maybe we the ones that are from Africa. We the blacks. We are all about the money. Okay, but especially white people like or I mean African Americans or people from America, they want to explore, they want to see other places. So it's not just about
Working, travel.
Working. It's about them going to maybe California and being able to go hiking, doing whole lot of things over there. So it's not even about the money. It's not just anything. They just want to explore and be able to work at the same time.
Then if it's not about the money, then they should be happy and then having their wages capped and still being able to travel.
I mean, it's life. You know what I mean? People has.
But for some people, it's about the money.
And the world has changed now. That I mean, people will be like, "Oh, I've been a nurse in this hospital for like 20 years." No, it doesn't work. Most people don't want to stay at one place. They want to go to different places. I want to be, because to become a traveler, I don't think this whole thing is going to benefit or bring any positive impact or anything like. It's rather gonna make the scenario or the case or the issue worse. Because do you think this is the last pandemic we're going to have?
I don't know. I can predict that.
But
what do you think?
You are in the healthcare industry, so you should know that. Day in, day out, different diseases keep evolving, different research, different viruses keep coming. You never know. Probably we might even be having like another one maybe this year or something like that. I'm not saying it should be. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if something like this happen, what are the hospitals gonna do?
Yeah.
Now nobody want to travel to that state to come and work.
Okay.
So what do you have? You have to reverse that, because then you're gonna lose. People are gonna die, and nobody is going to come there and work.
I mean, definitely.
And get paid low.
If there is a pandemic, travel nurses will not want to go to Iowa.
Nobody will go to Iowa.
If their pay is capped.
Nobody will want to go to Iowa and work. I'd rather go somewhere, go to California, or stay in Washington, or go to Texas, or go to some place that doesn't have that kind of law and will want to pay. It's ready to pay me to work. Because let me give you an example. When COVID hit, although nurses were making good money, good amount of money, we had this thing aside, the permanent contract you get like for the 13 weeks. We have this called the crisis contract.
Yeah, crisis nursing.
Yep, crisis contract. So that is like you can be called to go to this hospital to go work for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Okay.
And they can say like, okay, we are paying like $10,000 for a week, or maybe we are paying you like $15,000 for a week for a crisis contract.
Yeah.
Yep, it was happening.
Have you ever done that?
Well, I almost did one, but I think at that time it depended, there was one in New York that I wanted to go, but I needed to have my New York license and stuff like that. And I mean, I was okay where I was already making good money, and it was just like 2 or 3 weeks, you know what I mean? And me staying in one hospital, I can make good amount of money than going to do the crisis. But if you are out of contract and maybe you want to go and do like the 2 or 3 weeks and make like $15,000 or $30,000 in like 3 weeks, you can go do that. You know what I mean? I wanted a more stable one where I'll be there for 13 weeks and we pay like maybe $7,000 or $8,000 a week. Okay. Yeah, that is much more better. Yeah. But some people were doing that.
I get a lot of crisis on YouTube.
So that's crisis. Yep, the crisis nursing.
Because I know that there's so staff shortages across the length and breadth of the country with several hospitals.
Do you know the west side where there's a lot of staff shortages? The nursing homes.
The nursing homes are
hospitals are okay. I would say like hospitals are like way far more better than nursing homes.
Yeah, nursing homes, the staff shortage in nursing homes now is terrible.
Yeah. So nursing homes are suffering a lot.
Yeah.
More than hospitals.
Yeah, but travel nurses normally work in hospitals. So.
Exactly, because that's where they pay good.
Yeah.
And most of the people that works in the nursing are the CNAs.
Yeah.
They works in the nursing homes. Yeah. So I'm saying like all I'm trying to say is this whole capping thing is not gonna benefit, or it's not gonna bring any positive impact. It's gonna bring a negative impact. It's gonna make things worse.
Okay.
And I don't think every state is going to buy that, and not every state is going to just say, hey, Iowa is doing this, so I want to do it. I don't think, because every state has a union, and if the state feels like it's not a big issue or a big deal, I don't think they'll rather want to get themselves into that. So, yeah.
So in summary, this is no good news for travel nurses, and their prediction is that it's going to have possess dire consequences on the health systems and the hospitals, especially those in Iowa, when this bill gets finally passed. Now, it does appear that if this bill is passed, there's going to be a lot of unsafe staff to patient ratios in Iowa. There's going to be increased permanent staff turnover. There's going to be increased patient complications, and there's going to be increased patient mortality overall. So in simple terms, it is not great news. But here's my conclusion of this. I think that the horse is about to leave the stable, and if you have plans of being a travel nurse, the time to do so is now. Because from the look of things, nurses working in states that have strong unions like California or Washington may be those who stand to benefit in the long run. And that is how I conclude this video. So once again, I'm taking a donation in the form of subscribes for the next video. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Like the video and leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.